Hello and welcome to this week's All Things Green. My name is Dylan, coming to you from Jung Garden Center on Madison's North Side. So today we are going to actually be talking about how to start seeds finally. So last week we introduced you to our seed offerings and some basic products that we have. So this week we're actually going to show you the process and dive a little bit more into those products that you might need for any level of seed starter. So first thing is, what do you need for seed starting? Well, here are some basics for you. So first thing is going to be your seeding medium. So basically, I mentioned it last week, we sell a very general good mix of our seed starting material, and again, that is soilless, organic, made locally as well. And then along with the Jung's Family Garden seed mix, we also do sell a couple of other options as well. I mentioned last week that we sell the Jiffy peat pots, or peat pellets, excuse me, and these come dried, compressed like this, and those you just simply soak to enlarge, and they actually grow into this. Another thing that some people also like to use is just straight milled sphagnum moss, and we also do offer that as well, and that's just more for your purists out there. The next thing you're going to need is some trays and containers. So again, we carry all sorts of trays for you. I'd say the most popular tray is going to be the no-hole standard tray here. We also sell some smaller germination trays as well. We sell some heavier duty ones too, depending on your needs or wants. And then it really comes down to what kind of container are you going to plant in. And that's going to come down to what are you planting. I would say the most popular thing for people is going to be one of our seed insert trays. And this is just an example of one. This is actually 18 different individual 4-cell containers in here, and they rip apart, obviously, as you can see here. That's what you're going to find a lot of times, like here when we do get our potted flowers in the spring, those 4-packs that we often mention. That's pretty popular with a lot of gardeners, especially if you're going to be planting a lot of different things. So you can plant, let's say you're planting annual flowers, but you're going to have a different variety. And they're going to go in different spots in your garden. That way you can break up the cells and move them about. On the other hand, if you are planting a lot of one kind of flower, we also sell these trays, which are just individual cells in one tray. So this one has 50, for example, and let's say you're planting 50 pansies for a border or something in a garden bed. Then you can just pop these out, and it's just one consistent tray for you to use, and you don't have to worry about breaking apart or anything like that. We also sell, and this is going to be good for some of your larger vegetables. We also sell the individual pots like this. They come in round, ranging from 3 to 5 inches, and square ones as well. Everything I'm showing you does have drainage holes in it, by the way. And then similar to the peat pellet I showed you are the peat pots, and you just fill these up with your planting medium, and they are degradable or biodegradable. So once you're ready to plant your seedling out, wherever that may be, you just plop it into the ground and it's good to go. So now that we discussed what you need to start your seed starting, let me show you some things that we do offer here at the garden centers. First, we have this little self-watering greenhouse. This is made by Jiffy, and it actually comes with a bunch of those pellets that I showed you already lined up in here. So basically all you gotta do is just add water, let them expand, plant your seed, and it comes with this little dome too. And so this is really nice for like the gardener who maybe is doing a little smaller scale, maybe that lives in a townhome or an apartment complex, someone who's not going to have a need for a full sheet like this. I also showed you last week our hot house system, which comes with the heat mat, the tray, the dome, and also the insert as well. Speaking of heat mats, let me actually show you what one of those looks like. So this is a single heat mat. It's made exactly to fit on the bottom of your tray, just like that, and it just simply plugs in. And this is going to raise your soil temperature up to 10 to 20 degrees from the ambient room temperature. And then again, we also sell these in 2 and 4 flat sizes as well. And then once you have all your trays or pots planted up, especially for that germination period, we really do recommend putting some sort of a humidity tray over. Which again, as I showed last week, we have like this a simple one, which is nice. And these all fit over our standard trays. And then we also do sell this bigger one, which may interest people for anything that's going to grow a little bit taller. The nice thing about this dome is it does actually come with ventilation on it. So once your seedlings do germinate and they are actually growing, you definitely want to give that ventilation, because that's going to prevent damp off, which is a fungal disease that happens to seedlings. So I just mentioned dampening off. Now, what that is, it's a disease that attacks seedlings at the soil level, and it causes them to basically collapse. So you think you got something going, and then all of a sudden it just falls. Dampening off is caused by a fungal pathogen created from overly wet soils or mixtures. So that's where you have to be careful about keeping a good balance of moist medium for your seed to germinate, but not overly waterlogged, because that's when that can happen. There are some products that you can use you can prevent dampening off by practicing excellent sanitation of your tools and your work containers, and also allowing the growing medium to dry out between waterings as your seedlings grow. So once the seeds do germinate, then you want to see that little bit of drying out occur. Otherwise, you do want to keep that constant moisture until you do see those first set of true leaves. There are some non-toxic biological fungicides, such as Zonix, that we do sell in our catalog and in stores as well. And that's just a foliar spray or a root drench. That really helps on larger scale plantings, but is available for any size operation as well. So now the next question is, when are my seedlings ready to be transplanted? Well, they are when they have about 2 to 3 sets of true leaves, and be sure to transplant your seedlings before they become too small for their container, and otherwise they'll become root bound, and that will hinder their growth. For example, I've got some basil here that I started about a month or so ago, and you can see he's actually gotten a couple more extra sets of leaves there. I did start him in a normal tray, and I transplanted him into this 3-inch round now. So he's produced about 1 or 2 more new sets of leaves, and I just have them underneath one of our display grow lights here in the store. So when you are ready to transplant your seedlings, you do want to be careful to not disturb the very tender stem structure of the seedling. These aren't to the point of a potted plant that you may buy from us come May or something like that. These are very tender seedlings, so you want to break up that area around them, maybe with like a sharp pencil or end of a skewer or something like that. Just kind of break it up as much as you can, and then you actually want to pull from the leaves. You don't want to pull that stem, or if you're able to, get underneath it to get that whole root ball up. And you want to go up about 20 to 30% in pot size or container size. So if you're going from like a small cell like this, as you saw with my basil, I went up to about a 3-inch pot from there. Now my plan for that basil is probably to keep him in no more than like a 4-inch pot, come summertime, which is hopefully coming soon. I'll probably plant him in my raised bed garden at home. So he'll be okay there for a while yet. Now, after you transplant your seedlings, that doesn't mean they're quite ready to go outside yet. You have to go through a process which is called hardening off. And basically what that is, since we started our seeds indoors in a pretty controlled environment, you want to get them a little bit slowly used to the outside environment before just putting them outside. If you jump that step and just go right outside, they're going to go into shock. You could lose them. They'll get mad at you, a whole bunch of things could happen there, and you don't want to throw away all your hard effort that you've put in thus far. So about a week or two before you do plan on planting your seedlings outside, you want to start the hardening off process. So a couple ways to do that is taking them outside for a couple hours during the warm sun periods. You want to, obviously this is during above freezing temperatures, but just get them used to a breeze, get them used to the sun for a couple hours each day. And then after that first week of doing that, then you can leave them outside during the whole day, but bring them inside before the cooler night temperatures occur. And then that light breeze is actually going to get that stem to actually grow a little bit stronger, because they're going to start feeling the outside effects of weather, and that's going to create a strong system for when you do go to plant your seedling in the bed or garden. If you remember me talking last week, I mentioned seed starting and direct sowing. So with the direct sow, remember, those are plants that don't like to be transplanted. They need to start where they're going to establish themselves for the growing season. So again, that information will be on the seed packet, and you can just read the information, the instructions on how and where to plant your spacing and such for your garden. Again, the common ones are going to be your carrots, beets, turnips, parsnips, cucumber, gourd, pumpkins, that kind of stuff. And those most always will produce within our growing season here in Wisconsin, whether it be up north, zone 4, or down here where we are zone 5. However, if you do want to give them just a little head start, there are a couple options for you. So remember earlier I showed you those little peat pellets in pots? Well, the great thing about those is when you start in these, this is safe growing material that can go right into the ground. So if you do want to give those guys that don't like transplanting a little head start, you can definitely start them in the peat pots. And then before you go to plant them in the ground, just give a little score on the bottom, just to release this netting on there so the roots do have a little guidance to start rooting out rather than inside the netting. They will grow through this, but it doesn't hurt to give them a little head start. And the same concept again with the peat pots. This is peat. It's gonna biodegrade in the soil as well. They do have holes in the bottom, but definitely give it a score if you want before planting. This way you're not disturbing the root systems. We have a new lighting option I wanted to share with you as well this season. It's from a company called Miracle LED. We have the bulbs, the socket strings, and also a couple of kits for you. One of the kits I wanted to share with you is actually this one. It's called Greenhouse in a Box. So it comes with the strand of 4 sockets, and then it also comes with 4 full spectrum LED grow bulbs as well. It also comes in a 2-socket kit as well. We sell single socket and 3 socket, just plain strands. And then we also sell all the bulbs individually as well. So I mentioned the full spectrum LED bulb, but we also are carrying now the blue one, the red bulb, and then the combined red and purple. Depending on your needs, they're going to provide different levels of light on the spectrum, which is great for seed starting, and you can also use these for your houseplants during the year. So they're pretty versatile bulb, and I'm pretty excited to have these options this season. All right, now time for the fun part of the video. We're actually going to be potting up some seeds now. So basically, I'm just going to be showing you a couple different ways to pot up some seeds, so I just got a variety here. I've already gotten my Jung seed starting mix. I pre-wetted it too, just to help with the process, and it kind of helps gauge how much moisture is in the seeds, because we don't want to be over waterlogged like we were talking about earlier. So yeah, first, let's start with, let's do some tomatoes first. And people often plant more than one tomato, so I'm going to do a 4-cell cube right here. So I'm just going to read on the packet here that we want a depth of 1/16 to 1/14 inch. So this is going to be pretty simple. Just get yourself some soil here. All right, so first I'm just going to fill our our cubes with some soil here. Excuse me, seed starting mix. There's no soil in here. That's one thing I get asked a lot actually, is can you just use garden soil? And you really don't want to. You want to make sure you're using a soilless mix here. Because garden soils can get compact, it can have inert materials in it, and you want this to be a sterile mix. So avoid garden soil at all costs. I'm just gonna get those a little compacted there. Level them off. So once you get your mix all a little bit compacted there, I just use a regular pencil. I just give a little tiny divot there. Because remember, the package said only 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch deep, so that's not much. I just want to give me like a little bit of a spot there. Just right in the middle of each cell. So tomato seeds are a little bit on the small side, but you're still able to handle them with just your fingers. So I'm just going to take one and put one in each cell in that little hole I made. Just like that. And then what I generally do is I just take some more soil and I just sprinkle just a little bit on top. Doesn't take much to do that 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. Just kind of brush it even across the top there. I give it just the slightest little tamp down just to keep it all good. And then even though the soil is pre-wetted, I always give it a spritz afterwards just to kind of set that soil in place. So just a quick. And these tomato seeds are ready now. All right, let's do a little bit larger container here. So same concept. Get your soil in there. Give a little bit of a tamp down like that. And maybe you want to plant a little bit of a larger seed in here. Or even some herbs. Herbs I like to start in some pots like this as well, because the herb seeds are pretty small, but usually you want a couple of in there. So chives, for example, you would take your chive seeds and just sprinkle them on top just like that. And then again, just the lightest little bit of covering there. And I spritz again. All right. So I mentioned starting flower seeds in the beginning of the video. Starting flower seeds is pretty similar to starting veggies. They're sometimes, depending on what kind of flower it is, it's going to have different needs. So remember, I mentioned this one before. Let's say you want a bunch of marigolds this season. Just fill up your tray just like this. Just pile it on there. We're not here to impress anyone. This is for your own self. And I'm just going to do a few here just to show you. Just kind of smooth it around. Get those tamped down a bit. Now marigold seeds, luckily, are a little bit larger. If you're going to be doing petunia or pansy seeds, those guys are really small, and you're probably going to want the help of a seed dispenser, such as this one. This is called the Seed Master and is available online and in the Jung garden centers as well. Basically with this, you just load the seed and you kind of push this plunger down and it releases 1 to 2 at a time. Now planting more than 2 seeds in one cell is okay. Typically you're going to want to transplant the more stronger of the two, excuse me, or let that second one keep growing for a while, see if it comes back. But back to the marigolds, as you can see, these are a little bit longer. So I can actually grab these with my hand, and the package says 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do there is just make my little divot again. And I'm just going to put my seeds in, just like that. And do my sprinkle. I guess we're going to get both hands dirty today. Do my little tamp down there. And my spritz. Just like that. Alright, now the last one I wanted to show you. I mentioned if you want to get a head start on some of those seeds that don't like to be transplanted. So this guy right here. Simple as this. Let's plant a bean seed in here. Beans are typically always directly sown, but you do see them as starts, and you can definitely do this at home as well. Depth, 1 to 2 inches, so it's going to be about halfway through this. So I would just take my pencil, I would go down about an inch or so. Take your bean seed and just plop it in. Use the other end, just like that, and then just kind of work the medium back around it. Boom, it's done. And then just treat this as you would a pot or one of the other cells. The same would go with the peat pot as well. You would just fill it with soil, put it in there, and then these two would be ready to transplant without disturbing the roots when they're ready for the garden. Alright, well I hope you found this video informative on how to start seeds at home. Starting seeds at home can be very rewarding, sometimes challenging, but I think it's well worth it in the end. It's always exciting seeing what you started from seed growing into a full plant and producing and harvesting from that plant. It's probably one of my favorite things about summer. Starting seeds at home has benefits of cheaper costs in the long run. You get more variety. If you really like one specific kind of plant, you can grow it all you want if you can't find it at your farmer's market or the grocery store. Jung Seed Company has hundreds of offerings of flowers and vegetables and organics. I also did want to mention as well that we do have some affiliated brands as well, sort of like sister companies underneath the Jung Seed Company. Two that I really enjoy reading through the catalog is of Totally Tomatoes, and you can find all of the very interesting and cool tomatoes, and they also have peppers as well. One of the really interesting ones that I found this year is they actually have small, like kitchen-sized tomato plants, and you can look those up for yourself at totallytomatoes.com. And then also Vermont Bean Seed Company is another one of those sister companies as well. They have all of your bean needs that you would ever want. Very nice catalog. Both companies are top quality seed, just like Jung Seed is as well. So this was just a demonstration on how to actually start seeds. Now you want to plan. Your timing is when you want to start your seeds. Every seed is going to have a different germination rate and a different kind of grow time until it is ready to be planted outdoors. We actually do have these handy little charts that list most veggies on there, and it tells you exactly when to start indoors, what temperatures to look for germination, outside planting, and such as that. You can find these in stores as well. All right, and I thank you for joining us this week on All Things Green. Join us next week where Dick will be showing us how to plan your garden. So take your ideas now for your seeds, do your research, and next week Dick will show you how to make that work in your space. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.